Hi class, so I just showed a little video, just a preview to get you excited before our lesson today. Our lesson today is over Theodore Roosevelt and his domestic and foreign policy. So first, before we start, it's important to know the difference between domestic and foreign policy. So domestic policy is president's decisions that are directly related to all issues and activity within a nation's borders. So some domestic policies for you guys to think of would be like immigration laws, things like that. And then foreign policy is a government strategy in dealing with other nations. So an example of that would be like when the United States enters treaties or ends treaties. So it's important to look at these arrows and just kind of remember arrows pointing in, domestic, arrows pointing out, foreign. So let's get into talking about Roosevelt's domestic policy. The most defining thing of Roosevelt's domestic policy was his progressive reform. This is the widespread activism and political reform in addressing problems caused by industrialization, immigration, and political corruption. So Roosevelt fought these things with his progressive reform in these three ways. So he took care of political corruption through encouraging muckrakers. Those of you who don't know, those are journalists that go undercover and try to bring light to situations by cleaning out the media and holding the media accountable for what they were sharing, and then just encouraging honesty. So to the right, you can see a good picture of Roosevelt, a nice political cartoon of Roosevelt taking care of the media. And then conservation was huge with Roosevelt. As you saw in the video, we just learned that Roosevelt set over millions of acres aside for conservation. This is land now that is our state parks. So this was important to his domestic policy. And then Roosevelt's foreign policy. So the key phrase I want you guys to remember when you think of Roosevelt's foreign policy is speak softly and carry a big stick. So what does this mean, class? I'm going to give you a second and I want you to think, what does this quote mean? Okay, so what this means is that he thinks America should always start with negotiations to be peaceful, but always be prepared to back up their requests. And he did this mainly through our Navy, which you also saw in the video, that he built up our Navy. He even had a fleet, the Great White, go around the whole the whole world, just to show America's presence and to show that we do have that big stick to back up our requests. And then here's just a little cartoon for you guys. Okay, class, that's the end of today's lesson.